Staying calm under competitive pressure, staying calm in the face of adversity, is an incredibly important athletic skill as well as life skill. Even more important today, given the pandemic that we're dealing with and the havoc that it's wreaking in our lives. As an athlete, if you get too nervous pre-performance, if you get too amped up, you're going to tighten up, you're going to lose your confidence, and your performance is going to suffer. When we are in stressful situations for any length of time, not only can we not get our body to do what it knows how to do, but we end up compromising our immune system and our emotional and physical health. My name is Dr. Goldberg. I'm a sports performance consultant, and I've been working with athletes for over 37 years, and I work across every sport and at every level. And today what I want to talk about is a specific technique, not only to help you manage the stress of this pandemic, but hopefully when things return back to some form of normalcy, that you can take with you and use pre-performance so that you can keep yourself level-headed and calm enough to perform to your potential. And the way I'd like to introduce this skill, which I call developing a resource room, is by telling you a story of an athlete that I worked with and taught this to. Now, Angie was a professional triathlete. She was quite skilled as a runner and quite skilled as a cyclist, and was decent as a swimmer, but had absolutely no confidence. And her history in her races was she would get so anxious pre-race, which triathlons always start with the swimming leg, that she would end up tightening up, falling way behind, and unable to catch up. And the problem that would happen to Angie at the beginning of these races is she was so nervous and so tight and so small, which she couldn't do much about, that she would get sort of pushed around by a lot of the other swimmers. And she would spend a ton of time pre-race on the beach thinking about how important this swimming leg was, how badly she's done in other situations, and that would really kind of set her up so that she'd get so anxious she'd tighten up and fall apart. So what I said to her was, we need you to be in a different place before you perform. Okay? What we need you to do is we need you to go to a safe place. So what I want to teach you is something called developing a resource room. Now, what's a resource room? It's a special place, real or imaginary, or a combination of the two, that you can go to pre-performance or whenever you're feeling stress, and you can use it to help you settle your nervous system, to help you calm down. Now, what does a resource room look like? Well, it can be indoors, it can be outdoors, it can be a combination. It can be real, it can be imaginary. And I asked Angie, what I'd like you to do is I want you to think about a really safe place that you can go to that helps you feel calm, settled, confident. And she immediately began thinking about a beach off of the coast of Rhode Island. She and her family used to go there when she was much younger, and this was a place where she felt totally at peace. And so I said to her, what I'd like you to do is I'd like you to right now take yourself there and let's build on that beach a resource room. Now, it can be part of the beach, it can be a building, it can be anything that you want it to be. And immediately Angie started imagining this one-room cabin on stilts, completely surrounded by glass, with a 360-degree view of the ocean, the sand, the dunes behind her, and the salt marsh behind that. And what I said to her is, what you want to put in your resource room are only things that help you feel calm and confident. So you could put pictures of successes, trophies, medals, things that remind you of great performances in the past, things that help you feel comfortable. You can have other people in your resource room as long as they're safe. So I had her begin to populate this room with different reflections of her successes. She had trophies there, she had a special chair, she liked to have certain calming music that she'd play. And I had her practice spending time in this resource room, imagining it in vivid detail. See, the trick with any kind of imagery is you want it to be as vivid as possible. And what does that mean? It means using all of your senses: sight, smell even, sound, feel, temperature, that sort of thing. And I had her practice this exercise and with a few extra things that we added into it. Because I think every resource room should have an energy machine. So what's an energy machine? Well, it's where you get energy or confidence, okay, or a second wind. And what does it look like? It can look like anything you want it to look like. It can look like a special drink that you drink down that kind of lights up as it goes down and fills you with strength. It could be a special light that you turn on. Okay, it could be, I had one athlete who used to hold this orb, and when she put her hands around it, it would begin to glow, and she'd feel this confidence and strength going through her. Now for Angie, what she did was she hooked herself up to what looked like an old-fashioned radiator. And when she flipped a switch, it would start humming, and she could hear the energy going into her and kind of feel it going into her. And I gave her this exercise to practice every night before she went to bed. Fast forward 2 months into the future, she's on the beach in Jamaica, ready for an international triathlon, and surrounded by tons of other athletes. And what's interesting is, as Angie explained it to me later on, she wasn't on this beach in Jamaica. She was on the coast of Rhode Island in her resource room. She stayed calm. She stayed focused. She wasn't distracted or psyched out by any of the other athletes. And her swim was the best swim she'd had in years. And she ended up finishing in the top 5. And she did so because she was able to learn to control her stress level. And during this pandemic we're dealing with, you really need to learn to take steps to help you settle your system, because we're surrounded by nothing but stress right now. Learning to calm down under pressure, very individual skill. Some of you may find what I've just talked about incredibly helpful. For others, they don't like imagery, it doesn't work for them. I'll have other techniques in subsequent videos that we can talk about. So I really want to thank you for watching. Again, as I talk about this all the time, want this to be relevant, want it to be like a personal training session for you. So I'd love your comments. I'd love suggestions about future topics, questions you have. If you like the material, subscribe to my channel. Ring that icon, bell icon, so you get notified when new videos come up. Thank you again for listening. Stay safe.